This is a tutorial about the Mirrorme plugin. Mirrorme is from Astute Graphics. It's a free plugin that you get if you download their trial version. Trial version's got about 20 odd plugins. It's an amazing tool for Illustrator, CC 220, 219, etc. So, where can you find the Mirrorme? Here. So I've installed it already, of course. So there's the Mirrorme. And what you get is this lots and lots of lines. So the Mirrorme, what it does, creates lovely symmetrical designs. So you can see the designs there. And of course, what I can do, I can just suddenly click and then apply to selection and go off it and see there. So you can get that design. So you can see a lovely symmetrical design. Well, you can do it interactively, and that's pretty amazing. But you can also use the panel. Now the panel is here. Here's the panel. And you can find it via the window menu. So if I just go window, there's the Mirrorme panel. Now I've got it in expanded mode. So if you just go up to the menu there, there's a compact panel. So compact, you can't see it. Go to expand panel, and then you can see this. Now if you enter these values, and I'm just going to enter a value and apply the tool. Now it doesn't actually, I just obviously need to go to the Mirrorme, that's the key thing. Just go to the Mirrorme, you can see it move around. But if I enter the values, however, you cannot at this point do anything. You can enter the values, you can see some amazing designs, but it seems a slight flaw in it that apply to selection is not available. That's rather not particularly useful. However, what you can do, you can interactively, of course, do this and then click and then just leave it like that. So don't apply it, you don't need to apply it, but then the apply to selection becomes available. I know it's a slight oddity. I wish it was active all the time. I don't know why it isn't. However, now what you can do, now you don't want to go and do anything now over the actual document because it will move the origin point again. Or you'll end up, the only option you've got is to actually use that or cancel. If that's available, of course. If that's not available, if you haven't got that, if you go to the document, if you go over it, you will suddenly see the thing changing. And that's not much use if you just want to use the keyboard. So what you can do, you can enter values now, 3, 4, 5. So you can see interactively you can move it. So 230. Now maybe it's not as easy as using the interactive. But if you like just using the keyboard, 20 values, an experiment. So 123. And you can also, what you can do, you can use the up and down. So you can actually probably got more control by using the keyboard. So you can enter the values as you want. And then, now another problem with this is that the preview does mean you can't see the rest of the design. So you can just see that fine sliver. But you can, of course, you've got the outline, so that's quite useful, which is quite pretty decent. And you can change the number of axes, so you don't want that many. So you can see, you can get all kinds of amazing designs using this. And of course, key thing is apply to selection. So apply to selection, and that's applied. And you can see your design there. Now, of course, what you can do, you can use it again. But again, the only way to get this apply to selection available with the Mirrorme tool is to start using it like this. So actually interactively, and then click, and then you've got the apply to selection. And you've got that available again. So what you can then do, obviously I'm not going to click that because I'm going to use this now. So again, use up down. And you can move that around. And I think it's more controllable when you're using the keyboard than if you're using interactive. Though the interactive is great fun, to be honest. And you can change this. You can change the number of axes. And of course you can go there and you can change that. And you can go to the Y and change that as well. And the thing is, when you're doing it this way, you can see it like finer detail. So I think you can just do it slowly and you can see if there's any errors or things that you don't like in the design. Because I know when I create this often, you end up with these little fragments that I don't really want. So sometimes you think, I must try and avoid those, but you can't always do that if you're doing it interactively. Whereas if you're doing it using the keyboard, it's a lot more controlled. And you can just tweak it until, and of course you can also enter values. Now, fortunately, like that, 54.3, it'd be very hard to enter that interactively. In fact, it would be probably impossible to do 54.3, but you can do 54.3 or 54.2 or 3 and so on and so on. So you can just fine tune it, which is really good. Of course, you can't enter the number of axes, 25.2. You can certainly do it with the, and also likewise the X. So you can go to the X and say, I don't want 303, I can put 302.4. Very subtle, but it does mean that the design may be exactly what you want instead of just close to what you want. And you can spend a lot of time going backwards and forwards interactively, but you can fine tune it to the point of getting something you actually want. And then once you've done that, make certain you don't go over, obviously because the panel's there, it won't do anything. But if you haven't got that, just avoid going over the panel. So apply the selection, and then you've got your design. See, again, the interactive will jump in there. So go back to the move tool, and there you've got your design. So I think the interactive's a really good feature, but also I think the only issue I say is I wish the apply to selection would be available all the time. I don't know why it's not. Should be. But I think the keyboard is a very good feature. And like I say, this is a plugin you can find from Astute Graphics. Go to their website, get their trial. It's got loads and loads of other plugins. Witscribe, Phantasm, really good, brilliant tools. I love them. And I would recommend downloading that. And then, of course, you get this wonderful Mirrorme plugin for free. And you can use it to create some truly awesome designs, which, of course, you can then export to maybe Photoshop. You can also use these for tiles and many other designs. So it's a great tool. So anyway, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to Graphic Extra channel. Always adding new tutorials all the time. Photoshop, Illustrator, go through the usual suspects, Painter, Affinity Photo, Critter, and many, many others. Also, please add some comments. Always appreciate it. It's always nice to hear I'm doing something wrong, doing something right. The sound levels are wrong, which isn't my normal problem. I don't know why I've got a fairly good mic. For some weird reason, always seems to be issues with the sound. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you much.